What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C4 bringing you part 3, the finale of my GM mode of the Philadelphia Eagles. It's one of the most requested videos I've ever fucking had on my channel. People will keep saying, where's more mocks? Where's more mocks? Well, if you made it through the fucking almost hour of content in the first 2 episodes of GM mode, and I highly suggest you watch those first 2 so you kind of get where I'm going at with this draft 3.0. And just a quick recap, as the first episode is like the introductionary. We do some housekeeping, talk about who we're going to re-sign, who we're throwing up on the trade block, who we're going to cut and move on from, and then look at the bare bones skeleton of the Eagles roster and what to build on. That video was like 20 minutes, so it's not too bad to digest. Episode 2 went on way longer than I fucking expected it to, but I think it's a lot of great content, and that's my opinion on pretty much every free agent, because part 2 was the free agency. So we basically had a set cap number that we had to work with and to spend, and I basically reviewed almost every noteworthy people from, Reddit or on Twitter, any free agent that they say, hey, Eagles show and get this guy. I discussed why, where, why, who, why they should come on the Eagles, and as well as I gave them a market value, a rough market value, so that we can see if they're just financially possible to be on the Eagles. So we talked about over 30 plus free agents, so definitely check that one out. You can probably just skip ahead and try to find different position groups. We talk about quarterback, running back, wide receiver, offensive line, outside linebacker, defensive back, all positions of need for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that was a pretty solid video, if I do say so myself. And today, on New Year's Eve, we're wrapping it up with my third mock draft of the year, my final mock draft. Hashtag clickbait title, final mock draft of 2016. I'm going to do this different. I don't know if this is going to piss a lot of people off, but why not build up the anticipation? Why does every mock draft have to start, highest to lowest? Why can't I work my way up and get to the better prospects? That seems like it might be a little bit more beneficial to me. Might not continue with it. It's just something different that I'm going to try. I'm going to start from undrafted free agents and then go 7, 6, 5th, 4th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st for all my draft picks. Why the fuck not? Why the fuck not? Who said you have to do this? Who said you have to dip your cookies in milk, huh? Fuck that. That's gross. Soggy cookies, motherfucker. Who says you have to, 2 girls making out, 2 hot lesbians making out is fucking wrong and against the Bible? Who the fuck says that? Fuck those people. Fuck the people that say I have to go from first round pick all the way down. I'm changing the game right here, I'm changing the motherfucking game. So we're starting right now. 3.0 draft. Our needs going into this draft are quarterback, running back / fullback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, center, outside linebacker, cornerback, and free safety. So without further ado, we're going to try to address all of those positions of needs in this video. I use CBSSports.com for my main draft rankings, but in comparison for some of these guys, because some people they have mocked, it's all over the place across the internet. I use Walter Football, which, Walter Football offers a little bit of explanations they have their own kind of grading system, but there's a couple ones I absolutely disagree with where they placed them, be it so high or so low. It's really a guessing game. There's a couple, most of the prospects you can kind of ballpark where they're going to go, but there's a couple guys, 2 of them that we talk about in this draft, that some people have basically going fucking early day 2, and then other people have them going not even undrafted. They'd be lucky to get drafted. So it's going to be interesting to see how you guys feel about that. But that's without further ado. Let's stop beating around the bush. Here are my list of undrafted free agents that I would like to sign. That are projected to be undrafted free agents. So we have Dare Ogbonwale, the running back from Wisconsin, a receiving back. He's looked actually pretty solid. Anytime I've watched Wisconsin, I think I've watched 2 or 3 Wisconsin games. When Corey Clement is out of this game, this guy seems a lot more explosive. Great receiving back. I think he's going to be incredibly underrated and could be definitely worth a shot on our roster. Number 2 is Forrest Lamp, offensive guard for Western Kentucky. He's a guy that, most sites I've found have mocked him as undrafted. Some of them I've seen as high as the 5th round. So literally it's a guessing game of where he can go. But he is a solid interior guard. I think Western Kentucky had a very solid offensive line, especially in regards to pass protection for the most part of the season. And their bowl game, they absolutely ran over. I can't remember who the fuck they played, but the running back had like 300 goddamn yards. So I would take a little bit of a gamble on a piece of that offensive line. Number 3 is Seth Russell, the quarterback from Baylor. Had a really, really bad injury, so he probably will be going undrafted. But as you guys can see from my Eagles Connected franchise mode, I'm a fan of Seth Russell. He's looked pretty explosive there in Baylor. And I personally think he has a higher ceiling than Bryce Petty. And Bryce Petty, he is what he is. But he's getting starting snaps in the Jets. I think if we're drafting, for a third quarterback, a guy that we could fit behind Chase Daniel and Carson Wentz, I'd totally be over Seth Russell if he goes undrafted. Number 4 is Jay Guillermo, center from Clemson. He's looked solid. They've always had a pretty solid offensive line there. And he could be a guy to come in and compete for the center depth behind Jason Kelsey. And Wisniewski. Number 5, staying with Clemson, is Ben Ballware, inside linebacker from Clemson. My first mock draft, I had him going in the 7th round. He's currently projected to be a 7th/undrafted free agent. I think he offers a great tenacity, and I think he could show and make this roster be a special teams player through some solid preseason play. Number 6 is Joey Ivey, defensive tackle from Florida. He's been solid. I've watched I think I missed 1 or 2 Florida Gator games this year, but I've seen at least 10, and Ivey's been solid in rotation. I think he definitely is a project player. Maybe not as much of a project player as Alex McAllister, another Florida Gator that is on the Philadelphia Eagles, but I think Ivey could be a solid rotational defensive lineman in this league if he does pan out. Number 7 is Jordan Westerkamp, the wide receiver from Nebraska. Very solid hands. I think he had a highlight reel catch 1 or 2 years ago, like a behind the back. He's just a solid route runner. 5'11", 200 pounds. Could be worth maybe making his opportunity out of more of a camp body and finding a spot on this roster. Number 8 is Ed Davis, outside linebacker from Michigan State. Highly touted, but he's had a really, really bad injury. I can't remember. I think he missed all of this season, and a bit of last year. But I think he's a guy that might find himself undrafted, but starting before his NFL career is all and over. So I'd take a risk on that. Number 9 is Jared Collins, cornerback from Arkansas, big body corner. I think he was 4 or 5 picks, something like that. Big time playmaker for Arkansas. He looked good in the Florida game. Number 10 is Darius Hamilton, defensive tackle from Rutgers. I remember he was one of the highest recruited defensive tackles coming out of high school. Didn't really pan out there a little bit. Some questions about character concerns and drive, but that's the kind of guy you want to undraft and see maybe if a change of scenery, getting into a professional environment can really turn him around. So I think he's a low-risk, high-reward prospect. And number 11 is Dakota Ball, the fullback from Alabama. He's just he's 270 pounds. He's a trucking monster. That could be maybe the way Doug Pearson wants to lead our backfield in 2017. So now we're getting into the draft. And here's another thing I want to add. What I plan on doing, permitted my other job that's not YouTube doesn't fuck with this. I want to live stream during the actual 2017 draft. I don't know if I'm going to do all the rounds, but my at least I want to do the first round. I'm going to live stream. I'll just be playing Madden during the live stream, but throughout that in the chat and stuff, we can talk about the draft because my live stream privileges should be coming back early February here on YouTube. So I think that's a cool video idea that I think you guys would enjoy because we're about to get draft-heavy content here on the channel once the NFL season wraps up. And I thought that was a cool idea just to do a live stream draft and convo with all you guys. That being said, we're going into the 7th round. This feels so weird, but I don't know. Let's fucking roll with this. 7th round. Eagles in the 7th round. I want them to get Anthony Fish Smithson. Anthony Fish, well, we're not going to call him Anthony. Fish Smithson, free safety from Kansas, currently on CBS Sports, a 7th through free agent pick, 5'11", 200 pounds. He was all Big 12 second team, led the conference in tackles with 211 total tackles. I mean, he's all over the place. Walter Football had him as a 2nd and 3rd round grade, so, take that for what it's worth. He probably won't be here, but because we're using CBS Sports as our main kind of draft rankings, prospect rankings, he's here, and he would be tremendous value, depth at free safety, I think. We move on from Jalen Watkins, a little bit smaller, shiftier guy that can cover. I think Fish Smithson, we'll just call him Fish. The Fish offers a little bit better tackling ability than when we go with Jalen Watkins, where Jalen Watkins was a converted corner to a safety. So we might be giving up a little bit in terms of coverage, but I mean, you need to change the pace. We need someone else so we can bring in sub packages. We already have our cover safeties in McLeod and in how am I forgetting his name? Malcolm Jenkins. So why not have a guy that we can put in the box that can get involved in the run game immediately? I think Fish Smithson, if he does fall to the 7th round, is definitely going to be more than a camp body and can find his way on to our starting day 53. Moving to the 6th round. I got John Toth, the center from Kentucky, currently projected 5th, 6th round grade from CBS Sports, 3rd to 5th round grade from Walter Football. 6'5", 310 pounds. He's versatile. He's a leader of kind of a shitty team there in Kentucky the last couple of years, but a lot of people regard him, scouts regard him as one of the top interior offensive linemen of the SEC, and your boy C4 here has that SEC bias. I think we need to bring in competition for Jason Kelsey because he's been so hot and cold. I mean, we have Wisniewski, who's not, he's not a spring chicken no more, so we could look at getting some youth into the interior. He was on the short list for the Remington and Outland trophies, which are basically the 2 trophies that offensive linemen can win. I think the Remington is center or best offensive lineman. One of them is best offensive lineman and one of them is best center. But either way, the fact that he's on both those shortlists in an incredibly tough conference, especially in terms of defensive line, I would definitely jump all over that. I think SEC defensive linemen are the best, and I think SEC offensive linemen are as good as any other in the country. And I think in terms of depth, I would definitely jump all over that. Moving to the 5th round, working our way, sticking on the offensive line. I'm going Julian Davenport, the offensive tackle from Bucknell, currently with a 5th round grade from CBS Sports. Walter Football gave him a 3rd to 5th. Really all over the place. He's the real, I would say, out of all my picks, well, I mean, Fish Smithson was up there too, that could go anywhere. He's 6'6", 315 pounds, 84-inch wingspan, so he has like an elite, like the truly elite left tackles in the NFL have monster wingspans. That big old, like that John Jones-like wingspan. Incredibly athletic, 3-time All-Patriot first-team selection. So, I mean, the question of is the level of competition as high as elsewhere, which will, probably write him off a couple teams' draft sheets. But I think for a left tackle, for my money, a guy that's not going to go in the first, second round in what I personally think is a weak offensive lineman class, I think you take a risk on a guy like Davenport, and you get that motherfucker right behind Jason Peters. We already have a guy, Dylan Gordon, who people think might be the next Jason Peters. I think as long as we keep gambling on prospects like that everyone thinks has an incredibly high ceiling, it's like a 5th round pick. I mean, what's the worst case scenario? We hit on our 5th round pick last year. I think that was Hal Vaitai. Why not get another tackle that I think has an incredibly high upside in Davenport? Elite. I think this would be an outrageous pick in terms of value and what we need. Because, I've seen a little bit of tape. As much tape as, a guy that's not super into scouting can watch an offensive lineman. I'm sold, man. I think this guy is a complete package. Not ready to start. Definitely a project player. But what better situation for a project player to come in than to learn behind one of the greatest left tackles of this era in Jason Peters. So I think that is a perfect situation, and I would be all over Davenport in the 5th round. An alternate pick here would be John Heck, the offensive tackle from North Carolina, also projected to be a 5th round grade. But we do need to get a tackle, I think, in this year's draft class. Not high, but I think our offensive line is solid right now. There's no glaring holes. But we do need to prepare for life beyond Jason Peters. I think Davenport can be that guy more so than Dylan Gordon. Moving up to the 4th round. This really is the only pick. I don't hate the guy, but in terms of scheme fit, this is what my last mock draft, the first one and the second one, were who I would think the Eagles should get. This one here, I was a little bit more conscientious of the scheme fits. Who is best going to succeed in what this offense wants them to do? And they might not be the prospects that I'm truly in love with. They might not be the prospects that I want to see personally in the Eagles uniform. But the guys that I think, put all bias aside, put all schools that I hate, what guy will succeed immediately and where do you think this team would go? And I think in the 4th round here, Vince Beagle, outside linebacker from Wisconsin, currently with a 4th round grade from CBS Sports, a 5th round grade from Walter Football. 6'4", 245 pounds. He's an old school type outside linebacker. He has 28 tackles for losses in his career. A little bit of an injury history this year, but he's the leader of a very good Wisconsin defense. And I think if you want, the big hammer, the guy that's always going to make his tackles, great technique, big hitter. Guy that's not like Michael Kendricks. Michael Kendricks seemingly cannot make a fucking tackle in open field. It seems like guys just walk right through his tackles. He's a little bit undersized. If we want to go power, which is where I think we need on this team, like I said, we're not in the 4th round. We're not looking at this guy to start right away. We still have Michael Kendricks unless we trade him, which in the very first video we threw him up on the trade block. Brado's been great. Hicks is a monster. We need that power guy. I think Hicks and Bradham can cover, but we need the big fucking hitter. We need that guy that can set the tone in the box, makes it so guy like fucking Ezekiel Elliott, fucking Fat Rob, they don't want to run to his side because they know they're going to get absolutely whacked. Right now they see Michael Kendricks, they go, this guy here's going to try to arm tackle me. I'm going to blow right through it. Guy like Vince Beagle, 245 pounds, big, mean-looking motherfucker. He's a dude in a Jim Schwartz scheme that can do everything he wants and be the grinder, like a super guy that would fit with the Philadelphia culture. I also added an alternative in case you just want to stay with the athletic front. Jalen Reeves-Maben, the outside linebacker from Tennessee, currently with a 4th round grade as well. Had some injury concerns, but in terms of athleticism at a linebacker spot, he, at this round in this stage in the draft, might have the most athletic background, if you will. I think he's like one of the top mid-round sideline to sideline linebackers in the draft. He'll probably run like a 4.5, 4.6, 40, where a guy like Vince Beagle's in like the 4.7, 4.8 territory. That would totally be another option, but I think Vince Beagle is, the key. When I was talking about the free agent video, the key is finding complements to the guys that we have. What don't we have to make this team complete? And I'd say right now at the linebacking core, we have a really athletic, more athletic than grindy linebacking core. And, you want to find balance. You want to balance between, a Luke Kuechly, who's a do-it-all, and then you also want a fucking Vontaze Burfict kind of. Maybe not as bad off field, but you need a guy that's just saying, fuck it, I'm gonna destroy you. I'm gonna light you up. And right now on the Eagles, Hicks has been lucky and has a couple highlight reel hits. Bradham's, we have no big intimidator right now at our linebacking core. I see finesse guys that are incredibly athletic and solid at their job. I don't see that, oh my fuck. Do not want to walk down the street with that guy. I think Vince Beagle could be that guy that brings that kind of mentality to our linebacking core. But I'm not super sold on this pick. I don't know if we got to address outside linebacker here in the 4th round or wait later on and maybe get a guy, like I said, Ben Ballware, Ed Davis. So these guys could probably fill that role, but I think Vince Beagle is definitely solid enough to get a job in the NFL. Going to our first 4th round pick, which we got from the Cleveland Browns, I'm going Chidobe Awuzie, the cornerback from Colorado. CBS Sports has him as a late 3rd round grade. Walter Football has him as a 3rd, 4th round grade. I've watched 3 Colorado games, and in every Colorado game, this guy has stood out. He is incredible. I think he may be, right now I might have him as the steal of the draft. Whoever gets this guy is going to have a stud. He's 5'11", 205 pounds, so he's just shy of that 6 feet that you want to see ideally in the length of a cornerback. But he has lockdown traits. He has good speed, very solid tackling, incredible versatility. Plays literally everywhere. He's played predominantly corner. He's played free safety, strong safety, and a little bit of outside linebacker. He's basically a poor man's Jabril Peppers, and I think he's going to cost, look, obviously 4th round grade, he's going to cost way less because he's not as hyped or didn't have as many big games, but he was a part of a Colorado team that well exceeded expectations. And this guy here, he was the guy on offense or defense for Colorado in any of their big Pac-12 games that was standing out to me on both sides of the ball. And this is where I put on my personal self-proclaimed scout hat. I think we have to get Awuzie, even in the 3rd round. If they feel that he's going to slip in the 3rd round, I think Awuzie is a guy 100% I would pencil in. We need, realistically, Jalen Mills is the only guy on the roster that I carried over that I think probably should warrant a goddamn roster spot next year on this team. We did sign Logan Ryan in free agency, but assuming we didn't go down that path, I think Awuzie can start peaking. On this Eagles team, Awuzie immediately, as a rookie, I don't think he's a 1. I think he doesn't have the traits really to be a true outside 1. I think he could be a 2 or 3 right now. Right now, as is. Don't do the combine, don't do the draft. Put him on the Eagles roster. He will be starting next week. So I'm all over Awuzie. I just really, really like his prospect, and I like everything about him. Moving next to the 3rd round, and here's where I was talking like a guy like Vince Beagle, where we need to get guys, not necessarily that I really like, or that I really think, like, this is a running back. 3rd round, we're going running back. I'd say James Conner. I like the style of James Conner. Other running backs has been Christian McCaffrey. You got, like I said, I like Leonard Fournette more than I like Dalvin Cook. But Dalvin Cook, you have to understand Dalvin Cook is better. You need to catch the ball. In this Eagles offense, you need to be able to catch the ball. So there's a bunch of running backs this year. This is one of the most loaded running back draft classes I have ever seen. If you can't catch the ball, if you weren't catching 40 passes a year in your college, you're not going to work in this scheme as the lead back that we need to find. Guys like Deonta Foreman, who I mock to us, he can't catch. He's not a catcher. Leonard Fournette is not a catcher. Royce Freeman, fringe catcher. Who else we got? Samaje Perine would be perfect. Not a catcher. James Conner, I think he'd be a great compliment. Not a catcher. So we need to look at receiving backs. And because I don't want to spend a 1st or 2nd round pick on a running back, which I think this would be the class to do that I would be content with doing that. I just think that, wide receiver and corner are a bigger need for us than the running back situation. And we can still get, because this draft is so stacked, we can still get that running back in the 3rd round. And what I have here is Jeremy McNichols, the running back from Boise State, currently with a 2nd, 3rd round grade. I think he will slip to the 3rd round just because there's so many running backs. 5'9", 215 pounds, was a Doak Walker semifinalist, which is the best running back in the country. Looks for contact every time he gets a run, much like Ryan Matthews. Ryan Matthews no longer with the team, but the one positive attribute that most fans consensusly can agree upon with Ryan Matthews, you love the way he runs forward. He looks for contact. McNichols can also catch the ball. 30, 40, 50 receptions a year at Boise State. Boise State has produced Jay Jai. Great, looks like he's going to be a great starting running back. Doug Martin, great starting running back. And most people who are Boise State fans do think McNichols is the best out of those 3 running backs. And the fact that he probably will be there in the 3rd round, he is the running back that I want. I didn't watch a whole lot of tape on him until I did this. I didn't really, he was definitely not a guy that I would constantly mention that the Philadelphia Eagles should look at. But the more I looked at it, the more I looked at the scheme, the more I looked at, we need a guy that's kind of like a Jamal Charles. We need a guy that's similar to that Kansas City Eagles Andy Reid type offense, which is what we're in. And a power back that just does nothing but run between the tackles is not going to get the job done. So I think McNichols is the best guy there. An alternative pick in the third round for a pass-catching back. Obviously, maybe a Christian McCaffrey slips somehow, which he very well may. I think I'll probably put McCaffrey as our number one option for that pass-catching back, because Dalvin Cook's going to be gone in the first round. But no one really knows where Christian McCaffrey is going to go. And hell, I might get McCaffrey in the second round. I think just because he's that elite, but I think he'll probably be going like that. But McCaffrey is my number one realistic option, just writing off Dalvin Cook off the board right now. Then I like McNichols at 2. Alternative pick would be Alvin Kamara, the running back from Tennessee. Some people have asked me about him on Twitter in the comment section below. I just don't like that he was a rotational back in Tennessee. Pretty much, wasn't a starter. Filled in when Jalen Hurts came out. I think he's solid, but I just think for the fact that a guy like McNichols, almost incredibly similar with a little bit better trade. I think Kamara might be a better receiver, but in terms of overall running back stats, McNichols is what you want more in a pro prospect. And he was a beast at Boise State. 3-down back, feature back. I think McNichols is a little bit safer option, but another alternative pick for a scheme fit for the Philadelphia Eagles would be Alvin Kamara. But I'm going with Jerry McNichols here in the third round. Now we're moving into the second round, which is where we need to fucking hit. We need to hit on these early round picks for the next couple drafts, which is obviously a lot easier said than done. And more often than not, it doesn't happen this way. But that's why your boy's here. I should be GM of the Eagles anyways. Second round, knowing that we signed, right now our wide receiver core, our starting wide receiver core as it stands right now would be Jordan Matthews, Willie Snead, and I guess we could say Nelson Aguilar. We still got DGB and Paul Turner, but those will be our 3. We need, what do we have? We have Willie Snead, who's solid right runner, good hands, speed. We have Jordan Matthews, slot guy probably, but big, 6'3", could be a red zone target. Even though he doesn't play really like a red zone target, he still can make red zone plays. And then you got Nelson Aguilar, who's trying to get every single day, get that bus tag off of him. So what we really need, burner. I'm going burner. D.D. Westbrook, wide receiver from Oklahoma. Currently with a second-round grade. Walter Football has second, third-round grade. 5'11", 175 pounds. He's a burner. Deshaun Jackson's light. I think most people and scouts think that he will add a couple more pounds to his frame. But, this guy here, you look at Deshaun Jackson's tape from Cal. D.D. Westbrook, nearly identical. Usually with a burner, you get limited route tree. Guys like Corey Coleman, guys that come from spread offenses, that's the one because they only ran a couple routes. D.D. Westbrook did pretty much everything for Oklahoma. He did gimmicky routes, he ran across the middle, did sweeps, he did screens, he did deep balls, everything. I think D.D. Westbrook, runner-up for the Heisman. Second round, people are going to sleep on him. People want the bigger body wide receivers. I'm done getting burned with the bigger body wide receivers. I don't see, unfortunately, Corey Davis maybe, but he's going to be gone in the first round. If Corey Davis is in the second round, he's my number one prospect for the Eagles to get a wide receiver. But now we're talking the second round. Even with Corey Davis, I do not see in this year a wide receiver 1. That guaranteed. Probably Mike Williams would be good, but then after that, you got Juju Smith-Schuster, don't know. Corey Davis, don't know for sure. Who else do you got? Do I have my sheet still up here? Well, okay, here we go. Wide receivers, who you don't know. You have no idea. John Ross, no idea. Cortland Sutton, no idea. Curtis Samuel, what is he, a running back, wide receiver? Who knows? But a guy like D.D. Westbrook, proven stats, proven production at Oklahoma, and somewhat padding offense. They throw the ball there a lot in Oklahoma, but he is a compliment that we need to add to Jordan Matthews. We have speed on both sides. We have a gunslinger at quarterback. That is what Carson Wentz is. He is a gunslinger that right now has to, fall into the mold of checkdowns and Doug Peterson, Alex Smith-like football because we have no burners on the outside that can beat everyone. We got Bryce Treggs. He's fast, but he can't beat the corners to save his fucking life. A guy like D.D. Westbrook will do that. Like I said, most thing with this Westbrook pick is he is a compliment to what we have. Right now, our best wide receiver, even with Willie Snead now on the roster, hypothetically that we signed him, with Jordan Matthews, is we need a burner. And, guys that could be in the second round here, like Cortland Sutton or maybe Etta Tawo from Syracuse, they're too similar to what we already have with Jordan Matthews. I think we need to get a contrast in style so that if one of these guys aren't a wide receiver 1, at the very least, we'll have a guy that can separate and spread the defense in D.D. Westbrook. If that's all he can do, fine. That still has a role. Every team has at least a good player like that. Whereas if we get a bigger wide receiver like Sutton or Taiwo that never really pan out, we just have another Jordan Matthews. We have a shittier what we already have on the team, if that makes sense to you guys out there. The alternative pick here for a second round seems like consensus that Isaiah Ford, the wide receiver from Virginia Tech, will go in the second round right now. Second round grade for CBS Sports. Third round grade for Walter Football here, actually, which is very surprising. I think, he has great speed, 6'2", 187, so a little bit bigger than what we get D.D. Westbrook. I would be content with Isaiah Ford here in the second round. But realistically, I don't think Corey Davis probably won't slip. If he does slip, which he's definitely gonna fucking not. Corey Davis is my wide receiver 1, but because we're going in the second round, that's where we're getting wide receiver. It's D.D. Westbrook. And now, with the first round pick, the one for the Minnesota Vikings, which hopefully by the time you guys see this, as I'm recording this, I think the Browns are getting a better pick. The Eagles might actually end up with a better first round pick than what the pick that they gave to the Browns. So hopefully the Vikings kept losing at this point, and we have, a pick that's between 10 and 13, 10 and 14. This guy's slipping, and I don't know why. I absolutely don't know why. And as much as I don't want to come off like a biased Gator fan, I've watched a lot of corners this year. Like I said, I've watched Awuzie. I'm very, very impressed with Awuzie. He's still, in my opinion, the best corner outside of maybe Marlon Humphrey. First round pick from the Minnesota Vikings. We're going Jalen Tease Tabor, the corner from Florida. Currently with a first round grade from CBS Sports, top 20 grade from Walter Football. 6 feet tall, 191 pounds. He is probably the best drive on the ball out of anyone in this class. He has great hands, good athleticism. That's where a guy like Marlon Humphrey, who has elite athleticism, may come into play. But a guy like Marlon Humphrey, it's Alabama defense. Is he just a product of a good defense, or is he the reason why that defense is so good? That's the question that's always going to be surrounding Marlon Humphrey coming into the draft phase. But I think Humphrey will be the consensus first corner gone in this year's draft class. Then you go to the next guys. You got, let me just pop this up here. I already know a bunch of them up ahead. You got Desmond King. You got Marshawn Lattimore, Adoree Jackson, Garyon Conley, Cordero Tankersley, Tre'Davious White, Jordan Lewis. All these guys are in the mix to go in the first round. There's lots of talent here at corner, but I think we need to get the corner. And, I may, right now as it stands, I think I'd have Humphrey as my number 1 corner on the big board. Tabor's my number 2. Because he has some off-field issues. He's been suspended twice at Florida. But everything else, the way he plays, even with his mentality, he reminds me of Marcus Peters. If I had to say one play style that looks incredibly similar to what we've seen this year with Jalen Tabor, and that is Marcus Peters. I'm going to tell you right now, as a Gator fan that's watched lots and lots of football of Florida Gators, I'm going to make a hot take and say that when I saw Hargraves, Tabor, and I think Wilson was actually playing a bit of safety when those two were the corners, and a little bit of nickel, I think that Tabor is the best corner out of those three. People right now on Walter Football, they have Quincy Wilson as the number 2 corner. I've watched almost every Gator game. Wilson's not bad at all, but Tabor has been the big-time playmaker. If you want a big play, which is what we need on Philadelphia, we need to get a home run here at corner. It has been the last first-round corner we drafted was Lito Shepherd. He was all right, but we have never had, I don't think since, even Asante Samuel, we signed him to free agency, never had an elite corner. There's never been a time when people are listing the top 10 corners in the NFL. The Eagles have had that. I think Jalen Tabor offers that opportunity for the Philadelphia Eagles, and we need an elite playmaker there at corner. Fuck, it's going to be nice not to have an elite, absolute liability at the cornerback spot. We need guys that can stop fucking Odell Beckham Jr. We need guys that can stop Dez Bryant. We need guys that can stop Sterling Shepard. We need guys that can stop fucking Deshaun Jackson, Josh Doxson, Jamison Crowder. We need playmakers that can do that. And I think Tabor offers us the best ability to do that. Assuming, like I said, we're going to be picking around 10. Definitely will be in the top 10 to 20 range. I think Humphrey will be gone. Tabor probably could be gone. I think the 2 best corners, if we don't get Tabor, I think Sidney Jones makes a lot of sense. I see a lot of mock drafts having him go Sidney Jones. I'm not as impressed with Sidney Jones as I am Jalen Tabor, but I've obviously seen a lot more of Tabor playing. But like I said, it looks like a carbon copy of Marcus Peters. And everyone knows Marcus Peters, incredible. Sometimes he gives up a big play, much like Jalen Tabor, but he also makes that up with electrifying plays, being able to shut down your best receivers. And I think with his mentality, the mantra, his demeanor, he can carry on like a franchise corner day one as soon as he puts on that Eagles green. So, alternative pick would definitely be Sidney Jones. But I think if we can walk out of this draft, 2016, 2017 draft with Jalen Tabor and Chidobe Awuzie, we're fucking laughing. We are absolutely laughing at the cornerback spot. So there you have it, guys. That is the end of my part 3 GM mode here for the Philadelphia Eagles. Almost another half-hour video, but I hope you guys did enjoy. As always, engage in a conversation in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think. Anything. You disagree with these picks? You agree with these picks? You have a prospect you want me to look at? let me know. Oh shit, actually, I want to wrap this up, but we will finish with the final depth chart. Why not? The summary of everything that we've talked about. So here is our final depth chart before I let you go. So the practice squad will be undrafted free agents from the draft that we already kind of talked about. Jumping in, quarterback, we're going to have Carson Wentz, Chase Daniel, Seth Russell. Running backs, Jeremy McNichols, Wendell Smallwood, Byron Marshall. Wide receivers, Jordan Matthews, Willie Snead, D.D. Westbrook, DGB, Nelson Aguilar, Paul Turner. Tight ends, Zach Ertz, Brent Selleck, Trey Burton. Offensive tackles, Jason Peters, Lane Johnson, Hal Vaitai, and Julian Davenport. Guards will be Brandon Brooks, Alan Bradbury, Isaac Suomalu, and Steven Wisniewski. Centers will be Jason Kelsey and John Toth. Defense side of the ball, Brandon Graham, Vinnie Curry, Marcus Smith, and Steven Means at defensive end. Defensive tackles will be Fletcher Cox, Benny Logan, Bo Allen, and Destiny Viao. Outside linebackers will be Nigel Bradham, Michael Kendricks, Vince Beagle, and I can't remember his name. Something, Gruzier Hill, Steven, I think. Inside linebackers will be Jordan Hicks, Joe Walker, and Ben Ballware. Corners will be Jalen Tabor, Jalen Mills, Chidobe Awuzie, Logan Ryan, CJ Smith, and Aaron Grimes. Safeties will be Malcolm Jenkins, Rodney McLeod, Chris Amarigos, and Fish Smithson. And special teamers will be John, Magic Man, Doranbos, Caleb Sturgis, and Donnie Jones. That will do it for me here today, guys. As always, let me know in the comment section below if you're subscribed, all that shit. If you're your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to subscribe. And until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out and have a safe New Year's Eve. Get crunk!